Hello YouTube and welcome back to the channel outside the target demographic. Today I've probably made a mistake, but I am going to be attempting to soundproof the Subaru. Let's get started. So 2018 Subaru Forester, got it at a very good deal, and I figure since I'm going to be keeping it for the next decade plus, I might as well go ahead and start soundproofing it. So I'm in the car about an hour and a half every work day, driving highway miles, and this is a base model. I don't know what difference that would make as far as the acoustic resonance of the car. This is the only padding I've seen so far. We'll call it padding. I've seen paper that's thicker than this. So I have some Kills or Noico, I believe it is, deadening mats, and I'm gonna start fixing it to any metal that acts like a cymbal when striked. So first thing we're gonna do is get some rubbing alcohol. I imagine it's not too dirty in here, being an enclosed enclosure. But we're gonna get some rubbing alcohol, make sure everything's clean. We're gonna do a before and after scientific tap test by seeing how much better it sounds. And depending on how well this works, I'll also be getting some mattage. I guess you need to do the inside of the plastic panels there. So depending on how well this works and how minimal effort it takes, these are the two parts of the equation. I'm going to go ahead and continue on with the doors, probably the roof, and we definitely want to do the exterior and interior of the wheel wells, be it the front and the back. But let's go ahead and get started with this abomination. So the supplies you will need are paper towels, rubbing alcohol, some rollers, and your deadening mat. So this is about 10 square feet, and it's probably about 10 pounds. This is not a light box, but that's what you're going to need. Probably some odds and ends along the way. I just used a Phillips screwdriver to undo. I think there was one inside here, one inside here, one inside there, and then just pop these guys free. So this is by far the easiest panel to get to, and it's going to give me the best return on time investment, I think. This guy has been rattling pretty good, so anything I do will make it better than it was, but that should be about what you need for that. So let's go ahead and get these supplies open and get started. So again, I purchased two rollers, two different sizes. I've seen, depending on where you're trying to get in, you can use the rounded part of this to score around like ribs and stuff like that. But we have two rollers here, the instructions, and 10 sheets of this Noico deadening material. Now you'll notice, and obligatory explanation on this, every video you see on this, these are going to be little diamonds that are crushable. So when you use the roller and crush them into place, they'll disappear and form flat, and that will tell you that you've applied enough pressure to get these to adhere to the surface that you're trying to do. So gives you a visual indicator of the amount of pressure that has or has not been applied, which is pretty cool. This is 10 square feet in the box. I think it came to like $40, $50, not even that bad. The cost is going to be in the prep time and install time versus the product itself, but I'm probably only going to be using maybe even only 2 sheets back here. You are going to get diminishing returns with the amount of surface area you cover. So by that I mean, if I want to cover this, I don't have to cut a 100% size cutout to cover this. I really only need to cover, 30-40% of it. Behold, we have a, unfortunately, empty cookie sheet that makes plenty of noise. With a 8 by 4 inch piece of Noico Sound Deadening material, the pan will sound like this. proof that you don't have to cover the whole surface area. Just put it close to the edge, and it makes a substantial difference. For YouTube videos I've seen, I will freely admit this is my first time attempting such a thing, so take my insights for what you paid for them. They have the bell that you'd have on a desk and you ring it for service, you know, the bing. They had maybe the size of a postage stamp sitting on that bell, and when they hit it, tunk, tunk, tunk. So you're going to get diminishing returns by doing 100% coverage. I'm not interested in doing 100% coverage. Anything's going to be quieter than it was. So I may only need 1 sheet, maybe 2 sheets for back here. I did purchase 2 boxes. That's a total of 20 square feet. If I have any leftovers, I can fill in some places that I missed, or turns out the wife has a car. So I can try and do at least her doors, if not order another box and finish up her car. But let's go ahead and get started with the 1 sheet. Before that, we're going to do the cleaning. So as you're going to begin cleaning, go ahead and throw these out in the heat. So the idea is it's going to be more malleable. It's basically a waxy material here, heavy foam. So I put these with the non-reflective side pointing up. The black and brown is going to reflect more than, or sorry, absorb more than the reflective silver there. So just go ahead and have nature work for you. The more malleable this is, the easier it's going to be to both cut and apply and adhere. So we're going to leave these sitting in the sun on something black, preferably. Wrap them in a black blanket or something if you have it. I do not. So this bin is going to get hot in the heat, and then the material itself is going to absorb in the 5 or 10 minutes it takes you to go ahead and start prepping the surface by cleaning it with the rubbing alcohol. All right, so as I said, we're going to have the material baking. As it turns out, it's quite sunny and hot out right now, so even the surface area inside here is quite warm, and that's going to help with the adherence of the material. But basically, I think I'm going to do a little bit here, here, there, here, there, and here. On the inside, we'll call that the inside tubing, and then the exterior side, this gaping hole, I can actually get up to my elbow and get all the way to the end here. So luckily I'll be able to get a roller in here and adhere the material, or make it stick better. But as far as cutting it, I don't have to get anything smaller than this. I can just make it this size, thread it through, and be able to get it up in there, which is awesome. So here is our before. All right, and then, so that is our before, and after, we'll have an after. And here is the after. Man, that sounds great. So here is an undone panel versus, I mean, I think I used 2.5 sheets. That is awesome. So for those of you who are going to be a little bit more anal retentive than I am, I came up with a concept. This will be my tip for the video. Let's say I wanted to fill in the inverse of this. So instead of it being a recess, this would be the proud portion that I'm trying to form a stencil to, which would allow me to cut the whatcha stuff, right? So what I came up with is go ahead and double fold over some aluminum foil. I taped off the edges with some painter's tape, and now all you'll do is press that into place, and it will give you your opposite molding. Now, of course, that's going to work better when you have 2 hands and you're not your own cinematographer as well. But the beauty of it is you'll have that. If you want to, you can cut through it, making this a one-time use, or all you have to do is flatten that back out. And now this is a reusable mold for whatever part you're trying to cut. So some of these are going to be really awkward shaped. You can't really put a tape measure on there and get the exact sizes. So this is a reusable mold that you can use to cut the material to whatever shape is required. So with that in mind, you can see a rather prominent bend right there and another one right over there. So I'm going to see if I can't probably just cut one of the foil pieces in half. There's already kind of a crease there. I'll probably use my mold there, shove it in, see what we got, make any adjustments as I need to, but I'm really looking to do, 40% of the area here is going to be better than we already have. So let's go ahead and get started on that. So what I'm doing is peeling away, a quarter of it. I'm going to be sticking this end as far as I can up against this wall. I kind of want to mate it in between this surface and the exterior surface. So I want to get it as far in there. Once I do get that lined up, that's going to stick enough where I can go ahead and peel the rest of the paper away and then apply it with the rollers. So I have two pieces. We have right there and up against the side here. And you can see again, the texture is smooth-ish compared to our diamond pattern. So this port gave me a nice little access way to get the roller in there. I was able to get probably 70-80% of it. The rest of it, you're able to leverage the tops of your fingers up against the material as you're basically trying to roll against this edge. And even that's enough to get it to adhere. You can see I did some here and even right there, a little bit of the black squished out. So you don't necessarily need a roller. I will say it does make it quite a bit easier. But use the roller for the 90%, and then I've heard use a tennis ball. I did use, again, the backside of the roller. I was able to get up in there and apply some pressure. I don't think there's any kind of concern or risk or anything with cutting this material. It just kind of makes it so the tar doesn't stick to anything else or start accumulating stuff, but I feel like it worked pretty well. And then, so we have versus, we'll let the car go by. So there's definitely maybe not a volume change, but a frequency change. And that also tells me that I probably need to put another sheet here towards the bottom, which is fine. But again, if I do, definitely a frequency change. It's making it more attenuated. It's going to be a lower frequency, but I can see that there's quite a bit of area here that I can do. So far, I cut a sheet in half and then cut it in half again. Like I said, I peeled off maybe an inch of the material, stuck that first, made sure it's where I wanted it, reached behind it and peeled it off, and then adhered the rest. So I could probably cut this one this way, and that will give me a rectangle that I can fit into that bottom resonance chamber. So let's go ahead and do that. So we have the three pieces over there. Again, I have this one and that one kind of in the seam in between where the exterior and interior meet. And if I do the acoustic test, we have cars going by. We have versus so it's not necessarily quieter, which honestly is a little disappointing, but it does change the frequency. So there is something being done. Let's go ahead and start putting, you know what? Let's go ahead and finish this side. It's not really fair because even if I'm putting material here and tapping over here, this material is still going to be making that tap sound different, right? Because we are using the same piece of metal. So it's not a one-to-one comparison. Again, I did the completely before everything audio test, and we'll be using that as our frame of reference here. But I am going to go ahead and cut a few pieces to put around here. We'll do this half and then compare it to this one, and then I'll go ahead and finish up this side. So I used the aluminum foil mold to mold that shape. And what we'll do is take it back over here. It's about the width of that sheet, which is great. I can line this edge up with that edge. I can now lay it flat, and I know where to make my cuts to get that shaped. So I was able to make that cut. You can bring it back over here, line it up with where it was going to be, and our shape is essentially what it needs to be. Now I do have a big hole there that I'm probably just going to cut this into a tab and fold this portion in. And that's going to help with adherence and hopefully with the sound. I don't want to cover this hole or this one because that is where these two tabs engage. So we're just going to peel back a little bit of this material, have it stick in place, make some secondary cuts, and get this one placed. All right, so we did cut the hole. You'll notice this portion is relatively smooth. This is not, and I just left the paper backing on it. So this allows me to get it into position, squeeze it down into shape. It will retain that shaping. And then I was able to cut out this circle. I can use that circle portion to fill in a different part. There's really no point in having this metal sandwiched in between these two places. So I was able to make that cut. I can now peel off the rest of the backing, stick it into rough place, and then we'll follow it up with the roller. So I don't know how well the cell phone, not designed for video, is picking that up, but it is less echoey, resonant, and it's a lower frequency. So it is working. We're going to go ahead and mirror the same cuts we have here on this side here. I won't bore you with the details. The next time you hear my sultry voice, this will all be completed. So we have 1, 2, 3 sheets on the right side here. I am happy to report that this stuff can be peeled off. You're just going to have to do a little bit at a time as you go. It leaves very little residue after it's sat for maybe, 20 minutes on there. I remember now that I'm going to be getting some mass foam, and that's actually supposed to be used on the, we'll say, interior surface versus the exterior surface. So I'm going to leave this one here. That one's already applied. I'm not going to put one here, but I wanted to move that sheet to this side. I am going to go ahead and wheel it into place, and that essentially accounts for enough of the area where when I let the car go by and I do this, actually sounds pretty dead. How about that compared to, and now it's not really fair that the door isn't open, right? Because the rear is. So I'm going to hold that with my knee. I'm going to let the car go by. Thanks, car. Wildly inconsiderate. And so we have, and versus, so, I mean, it absolutely does make a difference, and it is metal and it is hollow, so you're never going to make it sound like it's made out of wood. But
honestly, the most difficult part of this whole thing was recording it. If I were to do this solo without having to narrate, dictate, and do my own photography, this probably took like 15 minutes, honestly. Did not even take that long. It'll take me about the same amount of time to reattach everything than it was to put everything on. So I've only used, let's see. If the full sheet is a little bit, it's a little bit bigger than the size of a 8x11, what is that, A3, A4 paper that every printer in America uses. So slightly larger than that. I think I used 2.5 of them. So really not even that much material. And it's making a substantial difference. So all in all, it was worth it. Now the mass foam, or whatever they call it, we're going to be putting on the interior metal, like I said, versus the exterior panel. So this is a 1 of 2 for the trunk. I was going to do this surface here. I'm not going to do that because, again, that's an interior panel, so we'll be saving it for the material actually designed to do it. Got ahead of myself on that, but it's not going to hurt. So that's about what we got. If you have any insights or experience doing this, go ahead and let me know in the comments section below what I did right, what I did wrong. Any kind of insights would be appreciated. The thing of it is, nothing you do is going to be worse than having nothing in there. So go ahead and experiment a little bit. That box, like I said, I think it was $30 on sale on Amazon, maybe $40. I'm pretty sure it was 30. That will probably get me all the doors with just the one box. If I use 2 sheets on this guy and it's a much larger surface area, it may be 1.5 sheets per door, which is going to put me at 6. So yeah, between doing the rear hatch, the 4 doors, maybe the hood, depending on, I know there's a heat shield on top. I don't know if there's anything under there, so I'll be exploring that. But so far, it absolutely makes a difference. It didn't take long to do. It'll make your car sound better to those around you, as well as to you as you're driving on the highway during the winter, throwing up all the snow and ice, debris, rocks, off-roading, all that stuff is going to be less intrusive into your cabin with about maybe 20 minutes of install and 15 minutes of prep. So again, anything I didn't consider, anything I overlooked, any comments, suggestions, concerns you have, leave them in the comment section below. And until the next video, this is Outside the Target Demographic. I will catch you guys next time. And here is the after. Man, that sounds great. So here is an undone panel versus, I mean, I think I used 2.5 sheets. That is awesome. Sounds much more solid. And I haven't even used the second layer, which will be another video. Here is a second tip for the video. When you break down, the last thing you need is to get hit by the totally attentive and not on their cell phone drivers on the road. So what I did is on the top of my tailgate, I have some reflective tape, which will help, hopefully, get the attention of the, as I said, totally attentive, thanks car, drivers. Additionally, and for some reason, Subaru, get your act together. Your pull down for the hatch is on the not driver's side, which there is 100% chance of a driver being operating the vehicle and not having a passenger. So I don't know why they put it on this side. I guess if you're right-handed like I am, I don't know. But regardless, they put a black handle on a black trim. By putting the reflective tape here, there is a very obvious high contrast for being able to find your handle during the day and at night.